Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. It's a lesson for beginners, and this is typically what I will do probably on the second or third lesson. After you've learned how to recognize the notes on the piano, you know what the notes are. Now it's time to learn how to read those notes in music, which is actually the most confusing part for most people. So the technique that I'm going to show you will hopefully bring to your awareness the logic that is in music. You will understand how notes are structured and why the reason why they're written in the way they are, and the positioning on the stave, which is the 5 lines where all the notes are written. And yeah, we're just going to have a look at some exercises to practice a bit more of what I will show you today. So if you've not watched my first video on how to recognize the notes on the piano, please follow the link above and it will take you there. So this is assuming that you know your notes on the piano, you kind of are able to play, you know some little exercises for a fingers technique, and now we're going to try and bridge the gap between you seeing the notes in music and actually knowing where to find them on the piano. So I hope you enjoyed. Next week we're going to look at the notes in spaces, but today we're looking at the notes on the lines and where they're positioned on the piano. Firstly, we are going to look at how the notes are positioned on the stave without actually looking into pieces, and then we'll use a few short examples or exercises to try and see if we can locate those notes. So the first thing I would like you to really study is this diagram which I have presented for you. And the one thing that you will probably notice straight away is that we have a single note that looks exactly the same in both clefs, and this is your middle C note, and it is always based in the middle of the piano, so and that hence the name middle C. It looks exactly the same in both clefs. The reason why it is at the bottom of the stave in the right hand is because it's a relatively low note. We should be able to still play and fit in onto the stave all the higher notes going up, but for the left hand it's a relatively high note, as we use bass clef to write all the low notes. But this is the only note that looks the same way in both clefs. All other notes in both hands, they will have their own special place on the staves, and this is where we're going to learn how to locate them. The first rule is using this method, which I always use with all my students, is proven to be the most successful, and it's actually my own signature method, is that you will be counting lines upwards in the right hand but downwards in the left hand. So the only other thing that you have to know at this point is where those lines are on the piano. So going up in the right hand, those lines are one note away, or skipping or jumping from the middle C. So this is where the first line is, the second line, the third line, the fourth line, and the fifth line. So if we had notes written on those lines, this is where exactly you will play them. The first line note will be here, the second line note here, third, fourth, and fifth. It goes exactly the same for the left hand. The reference point is still our middle C, but now we're counting the notes, or the lines rather, from the top going down. So the first line is now the top line, and it's here using exactly the same symmetrical method. Second line is here, third, fourth, and fifth. One more time. First line, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And now we are going to try and locate those notes in our short pieces. So if you look at the example presented right now, let's just literally find all the notes that are on the lines. So the first note that appears is in the left hand, and if you count from the top, you will see that it's positioned on the third line. So going from the middle C, if we jump 1, 2, 3, we'll be able to find that note. What about the next one? Next one is on the second line. So if this is the third line, then this will be the second line. And the next note is on the first line. Then we don't know the next note because it's in spaces. The next note that is on the line is right here, and it is on the second line. So again, let's try and find it. 1, 2, that is the note, and it is F. So once you become a bit more familiar with this method, try and always name the notes that you are locating, just so it sticks in your mind that this is F. At some point, what will happen is the more you see those notes, you will not have the need to count them this way. You will just remember. And basically it works very similarly to the letters of the alphabet. At some point you would just remember all of them. So in the right hand there's only 2 notes that are on the lines. The first one is right here and it's on the second line. So from the middle C, let's see where second line sits. 1, 2, and we already know that that note is a G. And the last note of that bar is also on the line, and it is on the first line. So there we go. And this is an E note. I am going to add this document as a downloadable file, and please try and practice all other examples using exactly the same method of locating all the notes that are on the lines. Always try and name the note once you found it on the keyboard, what it is, and I hope it goes well. In the next lesson, we'll discuss the notes in spaces. See you there.